In this lesson, we are going to look at selecting an appropriate sample. So when we cannot survey an entire population, we choose a sample from the population. When a political party wants to determine if its candidate is likely to win the next territorial election, it may conduct a telephone survey of a sample of voters. And these are things that you need to start to keep in mind when you see statistics in the media. Is you have to ask yourself, who did they survey? What sample did they choose? Did they choose a nice representation of the population? So here are some ways that we can select samples. One is called simple random sampling. So each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. For example, to select a random sample of 5 students from your math class, each student is assigned a number and 5 numbers are drawn from a hat. So in this case, you all have an equal chance of being selected. So it's very random. Systematic or interval sampling. So every nth member of the population is selected. This method is often used in manufacturing. For example, every 20th product in an assembly line is tested for quality. If the item is destroyed or unusable after being sampled, then the sample is a destructive sample. So for example, if you were testing the life of a light bulb, and so you are picking every 20th light bulb out and you are testing it, you can no longer sell that light bulb because you're testing it for its life, so it's going to be dead by the time you are finished. So it is called a destructive sample. Cluster sampling. So every member of each randomly chosen group of the population is selected. So for example, each grade represents a group of the school population. One grade in your school is chosen randomly and all students in that grade are selected. So in this case, we have different groups and the cluster is we are going to take one of those groups and then we are going to sample everyone or question everyone. Self-selected sampling. Only members who are interested and volunteer will participate. So for example, if a radio station conducts a telephone survey, only people who are interested will call. Convenient sampling. Only members of the population who are convenient to include are selected. So for example, for a survey about grocery shopping habits, people in a grocery store are approached and questioned. Stratified random sampling. Some members from each group of the population are randomly selected. So for example, 5 randomly chosen students from each grade in a school could be selected even if each grade has a different number of students. So they're going to take the same amount from each group even if the groups aren't all necessarily even. So, the student leadership team wants to find out if students would like the cafeteria to have longer hours. Several sampling methods were suggested. Explain whether each sample is appropriate. So every student's name is put into a box and 100 names are selected randomly to be surveyed. It's not a bad way of doing it. Everyone has an equal chance of being selected and therefore it might work. Possible downsides to this, if you are in a very large school and only a small population use the cafeteria, maybe those 100 students might be people who don't actually use the cafeteria, therefore don't care. But if you're in a smaller school, 100 names might be a sufficient amount. Every 5th person entering the school is selected. This might not be a bad sample as well. So if you are simply doing every 5th student, you are likely going to get a fairly good representation of the population that would be wanting to use the cafeteria. Each person on the leadership team asks her or his friends. This probably isn't the best way to collect the sample. Because if you are friends, you're usually friends with people who have the same interests of you. So you might actually miss out on a lot of different groups of people that are in your school. You might not end up with a very valid conclusion. And the last one, An announcement is made asking anyone who wished to participate to fill in a ballot. Again, this would be a self-selected sampling. And in this case, because it is applying to the cafeteria to have longer hours, it might get you valid conclusions, because those of you who would like to have longer cafeteria hours would likely go to complete the survey. A company packages boxes of granola bars. The quality control manager inspects the first 5 boxes each morning to ensure that each has the same number and types of granola bars. Is this a good way of ensuring quality control? Probably not. You're only selecting 5, first of all, and I'm pretty sure that in a day they're going to produce more than 5 boxes, quite a few more than 5 boxes, so it's a pretty small sample. As well, because you're doing it all first thing in the morning, you are not taking into consideration that maybe the production line or the machine that's packing these will slow down as the day goes on. Maybe it will have some glitches the longer it's used. You would be better off doing every 20th value, or every 20th box, or every 50th box, or whatever the case might be. Do a couple at the start of each hour of the day. Somehow you would need to space it out so that you would make sure your machine or your people are working as efficiently and effectively at the start of the day as what they are at the end of the day.